So this was a prize in two parts. There was a prize both for individuals for joining, but also for teams as well. And what we hoped would be that there'd be conversations across and within teams about, we should go for this, and what would it be if we were to? And so we are wanting people who may not necessarily have spoken to each other before, but coming together to put in an entry for this prize. Liam, had you ever spoken to the other person you put in an entry for this one?
It's funny you should ask that, Rich, because my teammate just so happens to be my wife. We're both in care, we're both GP trainees, and we decided this would be a great thing to enter together.
Liam, and I think Claudia can't be with us today, but thank you so much for putting in this wonderful entry. So as a pair of GPs, Liam, do you want to talk us through what you're thinking about with questions?
Yeah, sure. So I guess one of the main reasons we wanted to enter is because it feels like there's a real lot of tension around at the moment across the health and care service. So there's different parts of it being sort of pitted against each other sometimes, different professions pitted against each other. And the question that you ask, I guess, what is it that unites us, felt sort of really timely and something that we wanted to be a part of. And it just so happened that we were about to set off on a long car journey to visit my parents up north, and thought, what better way to spend our journey than talking this through together. So I guess in terms of the questions that we chose, we started by reflecting on some of the interviews that we'd had in the past, and they very much focus on the sort of what experiences have you had, what knowledge have you got, but very rarely, if at all, do they ask who are you as a person. There's something that's, I guess, fundamental that sits below all of our experiences and our knowledge that just doesn't get touched upon very often in interviews. And when we think about things like working together, collaboration, the scale of the challenges that we face, I think it's really about what sits below the surface of your experiences and your knowledge, and really who you are as a person that matters in that context. So I guess when you read our questions on screen, they might seem quite basic or quite straightforward. And in some ways that was very, very intentional. We tried to make these sort of design them as sort of three blank canvases, really, giving the candidate the space to sort of talk about what matters to them, a bit of space to be creative too. So what is it that matters to you in terms of your relationships, and what is it that matters to you in terms of the care that you'd like your family to receive? And then also quite an interesting question. We thought, well, how would you want other people to describe you in your role and what you achieve and the impact you have? So I guess all in all, our main reason for applying was we just thought it'd be really great to see at least one question that digs below the surface in an interview to try and get to the heart of what makes that person who they are.
Liam, lovely. Thank you very much indeed. And again, this theme coming through from across entries about actually how do you get to the person rather than just the bit of knowledge or the particular competency. And Liam, one of the things which really came through for me from your entry was that I was having a conversation with a friend who works in NHS finance. Who was saying, these questions, would they apply to someone like me? I work in health and care. And there is something in your entry, Liam, which would work, I could see, across a whole range of areas. It doesn't have to be direct clinical care, but about that connection back to how we're all supporting a system which works.
Absolutely, it comes right back to that fundamental. One thing we were really keen with, this could apply to anyone, no matter which door they're coming through, as you said at the start, Rich. So yes, absolutely.
Lovely, great. And is there something particularly about the GP experience, Liam, which sort of led you to these? Is there something about sort of the pressures, which I'm sure you're working under today, which sort of brings you back to sort of the importance of this?
There's something about that, the pressures, definitely. But then I think there's something about the question you asked at the start about how many different roles you'd interacted with. And I, maybe subconsciously and then today consciously, saw exactly how many of those boxes I could tick, and it was quite a lot of them, which made me see on my sort of day-to-day we're trying our best to do this and the collaboration across different sectors, different professions, etc. And I think that and wanting that to work really well was why we were sort of so keen to get involved, really.
Liam, thank you very much
Thank
indeed
you.
to yourself and to Claudia. A round of applause. Thank you very much indeed.